What's up, everybody? How's it going? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Bailey Canning. I'm an independent marketing strategist working primarily with professional service-based businesses to help them increase the amount of traffic coming to their website, generate more leads online, and then ultimately take those leads and nurture them into paying clients. On today's video, I'm going to be breaking down a new website build that I finished literally just yesterday for a client of mine. They're called Janjik Architecture. They are a commercial focused architecture firm. This is going to be a really interesting behind the scenes look at how I approach the web design process, because I'm going to be breaking down everything from the strategy phase to the design phase and then ultimately to the development phase, which was of course done using my favorite website building tool called Webflow. In 1 second here, I'm going to be sharing my screen to run you through all the different phases that I just talked about. But if you're interested in case studies of client work, as well as just my takes on marketing, web design, branding, all the things that encompass a true online digital marketing strategy, then definitely subscribe to my channel, because I'm putting out at least one video per week, and there's also a lot more future case study content coming out. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into today's video. All right, so before we get into the whole case study side of things, I just wanted to show you the homepage for now of the completed site. So like I said, this is a commercial architecture firm, and we were really going for a very clean, minimalist type approach, because that is what the particular client, in this case, would like to showcase in their own work. And I thought it also makes for a very premium, high-end presence. So like I was saying, they are commercially focused. So they're doing mainly commercial workspaces and ground-up new construction, restaurants, as you can see here, marijuana grow facilities. This is a client based in Colorado, so you can imagine that industry is quite popular here. Then you have industrial type projects, so storage facilities, parking lots, and then adaptive reuse projects. That is a quick overview of the client project, and as you can see here, these are some of their feature projects. We decided to go with a horizontal scrolling type feature just to draw some more attention to them, and then after that, giving people more areas to explore the client's process, services, and portfolio. Obviously, we got to have some testimonials here. So you can see here, in this case, we went with this auto sliding in feature just to add a little bit more design value and interactivity to the website, which goes a long way. And then finally here, a CTA at the end to book a consultation. Some nice photos as well that are mapped to your scroll position, and then the footer here. So why don't we just start from the very beginning, and that is of course going to be the strategy phase. Every website build, in my humble opinion, needs to start with a strategy phase to just determine what does the competition look like, what does the industry and market look like as a whole, and a bunch of other things in terms of marketing research and competitive analysis, and ultimately taking all these research and insights and learnings to develop a brand new strategy that's going to inform not just the design direction of the website, but the overall marketing strategy behind it. I also believe that the website is just the first step of a solid online marketing strategy. So really, it's just the foundation. So when you're investing in a website, you should think of it as just step one, and then step two is going to be ongoing digital marketing to actually generate leads and get traffic to the website in regards to focusing on channels such as SEO, paid ads, email marketing, content production, all those things. We always start with a website audit. The client was coming, in this case, with a very basic, simple Google site. If you're familiar with those, it was a 3-page brochure. He referred to it as a glorified business card, which I think is a good way to put it. So I always start with a website audit just so the client knows where they're currently starting out. In this case, it was a very basic website, but I tried to tailor it in terms of giving them my neutral observation, as if I was just like a prospective client, what I would think coming to their website. Then I tell them what my recommendation would be to improve things, and then ultimately what I believe the impact would be of that recommendation. So you can see in this case, I did that for the homepage, the copy, which is also very important for generating leads, and then also reviewed the website on mobile. As you can see here, there were some issues in terms of that service page on tablet, and I was just calling these things out to let him know that when we go to build this new website, we are not going to be suffering from issues like that. Do not worry. So then we talk about website speed. Obviously, this is very important. The current website was not doing well on Google's Page Speed Insights report. I always feel weird about this part because I'm not trying to criticize, but I do need to give the client a solid understanding of where they stand at the moment. And almost 99% of the time, obviously, there's no offense taken to it. So then we do a technical website audit just to review the website and see if there's any performance issues. In this case, though, it's a very small website. As you can see, there was only 4 pages crawled. So when there's so little to evaluate, I just breeze through this past step. But then I do summarize where the website kind of stands at this point in time. Then we go on to the digital marketing research and discovery portion of the project. So that's going to be looking at the competitors. So I sum up what they're doing here. Honestly, my cousin who's an architect, I think put this better than I could ever put it. And he was saying that architects historically are about a decade behind in their marketing. And honestly, as you can see from some of the examples we'll be looking at here very shortly, this is going to be the case. So all the firms that we did research on were primarily architecture firms in the Boulder, Denver metro area here in Colorado. So this is one of the top firms, Arcadia Architecture. Honestly, a lot of these websites that we reviewed were very basic. They weren't focusing much on SEO. You could say they were about 10 years behind in their marketing. However, I will note did have very good project photography. So that was something I alerted the client to in this case. And he actually went out and then hired a professional photographer to take photos of some of his past commercial projects. But needless to say, if you're an architect or you're in a field where design is a premium, so like maybe interior design or even construction, broadly speaking, really does pay to invest in high quality visual photography, because that is really going to take your portfolio to another level and help you land new projects going forward. So yeah, for every competitor, I just summed it up overall, and then I talked about the branding/design, and then also any marketing insights I uncovered based on this SC ranking tool I have, which will crawl the website, let you know how they're doing from an SEO perspective, let you know if they're running paid Google ads. And then of course, I also did my own research manually in terms of, are they running meta ads? What other marketing strategies are they pursuing online? Things of that nature. What do their social media accounts look like? And then here, in terms of if they ever did have good SEO rankings, I usually call those out to my clients. And then I talked about how in a future SEO campaign, we can target these exact keywords as well. I did also take screenshots of interesting things I found on other websites. So for example, here, I thought this was interesting how they were approaching the process. I think process is one of the key things you want to highlight whenever you're in the professional services industry. So that was something I mentioned here, telling the client, we're going to need to have a process page built out that matches this in terms of the overall information being provided. One of the things that we really learned from doing all this competitive research is that many firms, when they talk about doing commercial projects, they really view it as an afterthought. Even the commercially focused firms, there were very few firms from our local competitive research that actually were going all in on the commercial and eschewing residential entirely and saying we are exclusively a commercial architecture firm. So that was something that we decided to lean into after this, is saying, hey, we're going to go all in on the commercial aspect. And that was going to be a way we were going to differentiate from the competition. So here you can see a bunch of deliverables in terms of SEO research I do, so the client can understand what an SEO campaign would look like, how much traffic could come from that. Also, same thing with the PPC forecast as well. And then I also told the client that I believe this video ask tool, which is a video form. If you want to learn more about that, I recently put together a video of how I did that for myself. I will link it somewhere up here. I told him I think this would be another great thing to increase lead generation. He agreed, and we made a video ask form. I'll show you what that looks like towards the end of this video here. And then here are my recommendations for what we should do based on all the learnings. At the conclusion of this strategy presentation, leading up to this point, I've done anywhere between 1 to 2 weeks of research. Then it's actually time to move into the design phase. So I will show you what that looks like here. Obviously, we start first with the UX wireframe. So this was the sitemap where we had the home page, the about page, services, process, projects, project template, blog and blog post templates. Although the client didn't have any blog content, we still built out the infrastructure for this. Obviously, they can use the blog to post videos as well, which I'm much more bullish on than blog posts. And then a contact and a consultation page. So these are the UX wireframes. How they work is just to give the client a high-level overview of the content and UX structure of the website. And then this way, they can see all the content we're going to have. Obviously, then they can comment, as you can see here. And then I also write all of the copy on the website as well. Copy is very important for conversions. When we're talking about architecture firm websites in particular, in this case, design is going to draw people in, but it's ultimately the copy that is going to convince them to take action and actually convert into a project lead for your firm. So that is why the copy is so important. Then once the client approved the UX outline of every single page, then it was up to me to start working on the design. So First things first, we did know we wanted to have a really unique text because when we looked at all the competitors, they were all using very generic Google fonts, and this was just a very minimalist type way to bring in excellent design value to the website. So we went with this Cooper Hewitt font, which is based off a museum in New York City, I believe, some sort of like industrial design museum, and they created their own font for the museum, but then they open sourced it. So I thought this was really good for just having a very bold, unique font that was also a little industrial and plays into the business and commercial architecture services that the firm provides. So I ultimately chose to go for a very, well, one, the client did tell me ahead of time that he really liked the all white background type look. So that's obviously what you can see here was done. But we didn't want it to be boring either. So what I decided to do was then go for a bold blue color, as you can see here. One, because it adds a really nice, pop of color to the website, especially with all the white backgrounds. But two, the blue just communicates professionalism, trust, authority, and considering we were mainly going after business clients in this case, I thought that was a perfect color to go for. Figma things are very static, but we did know we were also going to be doing lots of animations and effects. And then as you can see here, these were the rest of the pages we developed. So you can see here what the natural evolution looks like from designing these UX wireframes and then creating a finished mock-up design for the UI wireframes. So this project ran really well in terms of timeline. So the UX wireframes probably took about a week or so. These UI wireframes took about 2 to 3 weeks. And then when we go into development, it took maybe 3 weeks as well to develop QA and launch as well. Real quick, if you're enjoying this video and getting some value out of it and you want to pick my brain on an upcoming website build that your company is considering, then definitely feel free to fill out my project inquiry form. It is the first link in the description of this video. With that form, you can quickly provide me some information about your company, and if you are well qualified, then there's going to be a section at the end that allows you to book time directly on my calendar. Once you book time via that widget, then we'll be all set to have an initial consultation call where I will take the time to learn more about your company, the direction you're trying to go in, and what a new website might be able to do for your firm in terms of lead generation, and I will provide you with my best analysis going forward on how to achieve your marketing and sales goals. So again, link in the description if you want to learn more about that strategy called offer. And without further ado, let's get back into today's video. So this is the homepage, as I already showed you earlier. We have a hamburger menu here. I just kept it nice and simple with the slide out bar because I thought it was elegant. Now let's go to the about page. We're going into the animation, so we're animating some of these photos in, going for a little bit more of a off-grid type look in certain sections because a lot of the websites have very basic box layouts, and we wanted to break the grid, as they say here. Text animation, overview of the principal, and then talking about how they have an outsourced team in India, which has become very popular in the AEC industry, and talking about what benefits that brings to the clients. First, we have a team section. This is all built out with the Webflow CMS, so if the client ever wanted to make basic updates or edits, it'd be very simple for them to do that. And then also, again, using these auto scrolling features we found. This section was actually inspired by one of the competitors we looked at. In the website, they actually called out what makes them different. So here we wanted that the same section detailing exactly to the client so they don't need to figure it out themselves what sets this firm apart from the others. We call it out right here. And then we also did this cool animating feature, so it just adds a lot more design value and makes the website much more engaging. Again, going back to this portfolio section where, again, they're in a horizontal slider section. This is done using the Webflow components. So you build a section once and then you can reuse it throughout the website. And then if you make edits to it in one area, it'll update globally. We have some testimonials. Again, in every single area of the website, there are little animations or effects or hover things that are going on that just make the website a lot more engaging than they would be if they were static. So that is the about page. Let's now go into the services page. Here, again, looks basic, but then as you scroll in, the image on the right takes up the full side, and then we're going to be animating in all the different images and assets in terms of copy for all the different project types that the client offers services for. So as you can see here, we're expanding on the services section that is on the home page and giving clients more details on what they can expect and the key value propositions behind that. Then we have a slider. People can just slide through and then find what projects. This is also connected to the CMS as well using the FinSuite attributes. Testimonials once again for social proof. Here we have some FAQs, just answering some questions that clients likely have. And then we're going to have another CTA section here. Going on to the process page. So this is very important for architecture firms in my experience. I've worked with a couple firms. If you look at some of my other case study videos, you can see for yourself what those websites and marketing campaigns look like. But here we're talking about the process. People want to learn more. They can then explore every single phase of the project in terms of schematic, design development, construction renderings. We have a testimonial section to break up the 6 steps, and then the bottom 3 steps are detailed here. And then we go into a portfolio. In this case, though, using the same obvious, as you can see, horizontal scrolling section, but we're just using a black background just to change things up a little bit here. And then some other FAQ questions, and then again, another CTA section. Now going on to the portfolio. So here, pretty simple. We only launched with 5 projects, but again, it's built out in the Webflow CMS and it'll be very easy to add ones as they go on. This is something else I would advise for architecture firms or any type of AEC firm, is that maybe you have 20 projects, but only 5 are well photographed. You can just go with the 5, honestly, and it'll be totally fine. And here we also did include some filters. So while there are 5 projects here of the different types, there are, say someone wants to just look at restaurants, they can do that and then find this restaurant that was built right outside Denver. They click into that. Then this is the individual project template that was built out. So you can see here, quick overview, 1 paragraph, doesn't need to be anything crazy. Some fast facts about the project on the right-hand sidebar here. And then there's a photo gallery. Again, this is one of the projects that the client had professionally shot. I think they came out really great. And then I also put them in a lightbox, so if someone wants to click on them, they can do that, and then they can navigate accordingly however they wish. So it's in a full screen, very interactive setup here. Then of course we're going to have featured projects or additional projects here. So again, a different slider design, but the slider is just a good way to leverage large photography, but then also add a much more engaging factor to the website. And then a CTA, again, we could have just done a very simple section here in terms of the text, but we mapped this again to the scroll just to add a lot more design value to the website. And then finally, we have a consultation where the client put together a video ask. So again, much more engaging step-by-step video form that we believe is going to be able to generate leads a lot more effectively than just a standard contact form. Then as you can see here, we just have some more details in case someone's not officially sold on booking the consultation just yet. Again, that CTA will bring people right to the top of the page. All right, guys, so that is a quick look at the architecture website I built out. Of course, it was done using Webflow, and all those animations that you see could not be done without using Webflow and also using the Loom library and client first framework, which again, I've made videos on in the past. But that was how I was able to design, develop, and launch the website. The entire process we just talked about there took, I want to say, 13 or 14 weeks. So I always say ideally it'll take 60 to 90 days to build a website. In this case, it took an extra week or 2, which is totally fine, honestly. Better to get things right, rush it out to delivery. So yeah, that is the website built. If you have any questions, obviously feel free to leave a question in the comment and I will get back to you. If you are impressed by what you saw there and you either own or work within the marketing department of a architecture firm or any other firm that falls within the AEC category, I definitely have a very strong portfolio in that industry. And if you want to pick my brain on potentially rebuilding your company's website and also what a potential ongoing marketing campaign could look like for your firm to generate leads, then feel free to provide me with some details about your firm and what you're potentially looking for in terms of marketing help. There is a project inquiry form at the top of the YouTube description right here. It takes about 5 minutes to fill out, but gives me all the details I need to learn more about your firm. If we're potentially a good fit to work together, then there's going to be at the end a widget that allows you to book time directly on my calendar. If not, I will have to review manually and get back to you within 1 to 2 business days. But otherwise, yeah, I hope you found this video helpful and it was interesting. And perhaps whether you're a Webflow developer, inspire your next build, or if you're an architecture firm owner or marketing director within a larger firm, hopefully you can see the power of Webflow and how in just 1/4 of business, you could quickly redesign your firm's website and then pursue a brand new marketing strategy aimed at generating more project leads, growing your firm's awareness, and establishing its expertise in the project areas it focuses on. So again, feel free to leave any comments. Let me know in the comments. Subscribe to my channel in the meantime. I'm putting out 1 video per week. Bye.